In case you missed it or you happen to be living under a rock, the United States yesterday, bombed 3 Iranian nuclear sites. So personally, I'm still trying to figure out how to feel about it politically, legally, globally. A lot of people aren't in classic fashion. Everybody's just jumping to conclusions, which, who's surprised at this point? But one of the large questions is it constitutional? Now, on paper, the answer seems pretty clear. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, it literally says Congress shall have the power to declare war. But we live in a political reality where those lines have been blurred beyond recognition. Let me be absolutely clear about one thing, okay? This is not a Donald Trump problem whatsoever. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump in principle. And it's not a Democrat or a Republican issue either. This is a United States government problem. Trump, Obama, Bush, Biden, every single one of these men have authorized military strikes without any approval whatsoever, okay? Obama did it in Libya in 2011 and Syria in 2016. Bush did who knows how many endless special operations in the Middle East without any approval. Biden did it in Syria, Somalia, Yemen, and Afghanistan, okay? So before we go and point fingers at Trump specifically, and yes, he's in office and he should be held accountable, that's totally fine, right? But if we're holding every administration to the same standard, which we have to do, we should do in principle, then let's, not pretend that we care about the Constitution if we're not going to do that, right? We talk about the rule of law, the will of the people, da-da-da-da. I saw some video on X, Twitter X, this is the time for us to stand up. I mean, there's been a lot of times where we could stand up about the same thing and nobody has, right? So, it's kind of, shut up. Let's set aside for a moment that China's already mobilized 2 aircraft carriers. And Russia, of course, is looking for any opportunity to have leverage against the United States. Iran has missiles. We have U.S. military bases, specifically 10 of them, that are within missile range of Iran. And if they decide to launch those missiles at those bases, what do you think is going to happen? Not good. More escalations. He's going to respond, right? And tic-tac, here we go. Woo! Now, that's a problem, but there's, believe it or not, a larger issue. So you probably don't know this, but there is something called the Strait of Hormuz, and I think that's how you say it. I surely hope so. And it is responsible for 20% of global oil commerce. And it's right next to Iran. It's right there. Iran, Iran, who knows? Who cares? A lot of people. Anyway, Iran has said before, if there are certain problems, certain escalations, that they're going to start, eating into that a little bit. That's pressure that affects a lot of things. And who else has oil for the rest of the world? Russia. Just saying. Anyway, that by itself could cause a huge ripple effect globally that doesn't just affect America, but who's going to get blamed? America. So really what this was, at the end of the day, is a gamble more than anything else. If the Trump administration is right and we're getting a bunch of chest puffing, a lot of hot air from Iran about escalation and they don't actually retaliate, then Iran doesn't have possible theoretical nukes. If we're wrong, there could be huge escalation and we could be entering a chapter of a global state of affairs that is dicey at best. And does Iran have nuclear weapons? Were they making them? Maybe. Maybe not. It's not impossible. They definitely had the capacity to. Should Iran have nuclear weapons? No. I don't think that's crazy. I think that if you're advocating for Iran to have nuclear weapons, you're out of your mind. I also don't think Israel should. And by the way, they probably do. Take a look at this statement that Ted Cruz left here, right? So he goes and he's thanking the military. Cool. Go military. Military's dope. We love that. Or unless you don't, but whatever. He says, when the Ayatollah chants death to America, he means it. And the reason he's building nuclear weapons is because he intends to use them. You know what he wouldn't do with a nuclear weapon? Nuke America. You know why? Because if he did, there would be no more Iran. And you know what the Ayatollah loves as the supreme leader of Iran? Being the supreme leader of Iran, which has to exist for him to be the supreme leader. Now, what is true is there were negotiations that were attempted and they failed. Is that because of Donald Trump? Is that because of Iran? The correct answer is both. The only real answer is both, okay? If you blame Trump for that and hold him to account, yeah, to some degree, but you can't put the whole thing at his feet. You know who's also not exempt from scrutiny? The Democrats, Nancy Pelosi. Tonight, the president ignored the Constitution by unilaterally engaging our military without congressional authorization. I join my colleagues in demanding answers from the administration on this operation, which endangers American lives and risks further escalation and dangerous destabilization of the region. You know what? Some truth. But guess what, Nancy Pelosi? Where were you for Biden? Where were you for Obama? Something that needs to be remembered forever, realistically, is that Israel should not have nukes. Guess what? Israel has nukes. Do you know why? Because in the 1960s, they stole nuclear material from the United States. Who is more trustworthy? An Iran who hates America, or an ally that steals nuclear material to have nukes from you and then asks you to do all of their dirty work? Hard to say. My answer would be neither. That would be my answer. There definitely needs to be some thinking about our relationship with Israel. You know, there's been a bunch of memes about, Netanyahu and Donald Trump and some interesting AI-generated images, to say the least. And I think, they're getting at something there. It's definitely overblown, but there's a huge kernel. Kernels are small. There can't be a huge kernel. I mean, there could be a huge kernel, regardless. There's a lot of validity to the genesis of that idea, and that definitely needs to be looked at.